Welcome to Effective Note-Taking Skills. You will learn about 4 highly recommended ways to take notes. The Cornell system of note-taking, highlighting and annotating, outlining, and mapping. The Cornell note-taking system is practically worldwide. You can Google all kinds of formats online. You just look up Cornell notes and check out the images there. But this is pretty much the classic. You will divide your note paper, which is usually that, 8.5 by 11 lined sheet, into kind of the I or T form. I call it an upside down T, but anyway, you want one section on the left or right. You make this your own. But you need to jot in the key points and themes during class. And that's this section right here on the left. And then while you're reading your textbook for the second time, usually it's good to read your textbook first time through before you even go to the lecture. But as you're rereading, concentrate on the key points and themes and jot down connections that you're making in the textbook reading on the right-hand side, right next to those key points and themes. Use as many pages as you need. You won't get everything down on one sheet. At the bottom is where you put your condensed information that you will review during your review and recall sessions as you study. On every single page, I know it's small up here, the very top, or somewhere on the page, mark your course name, the date, and your name and the page number. Because if you ever drop all your notes at some point, you will be able to put them all back together in the proper order and with almost no time lost. Here's kind of a, handwritten one with explanation. The main idea, a key question, keywords and ideas that you've picked up from the textbook or the lecture, whatever you like. Important dates, people, places, depends on the course. Repeated or stressed info that your professor has mentioned more than twice. Any ideas or brainstorming that you get and that you might notice he's writing on the board. It would be like extra information, possibly the overhead projector or a PowerPoint might have information. If there were interesting anecdotes or stories the professor used as examples, you can kind of just jot a few words to remind you of those. Diagrams and pictures, formulas, and this covers all textbooks. You will use a few of these for, say, for instance, a chemistry class, and a few different ones if it's a history class. And then at the bottom, summarize your notes in your own words so that from that lecture you have a sentence or 2 or 3 of what the main ideas were. Those 2 or 3 sentences will remind you of all of the information you read and all of the information in the lectures. And here's right out of that same communication book, your notes. In the blue bubbles are the key terms, and the green bubbles are the definitions. Now those might have come right out of the textbook. Preferably they are your own words. What you understand are the definitions. Highlighting is great for lightweight classes, does not work well for heavyweight classes, for absolutely new information to you. So don't plan to highlight all over a book. There is a very specific plan to this. First off, you need to read the chapter. Then as you're rereading, you will be highlighting the main points, the stuff that was on the right-hand side on the Cornell notes, if you can kind of visualize the two merging, and you're doing it in your own way with just color. You'll want to make sure that any questions or ideas are put in the margins, and they can be done in red, and we'll call those annotations in addition to highlighting. Use multiple colors in highlighting. Maybe your main ideas or your main terms will be yellow, and then the definitions would be possibly a pale green, whatever you like. But make it happy and fun for you because you're going to be doing a lot of this. All right, here's an example of too little highlighting. I mean, really, one sentence out of a chapter and you think you're going to remember all the information? It's not going to be enough. I'm sure there's more information on that textbook page that you need to be aware of. So Make sure that you highlight a little more than that. However, this is going way overboard. If you find yourself trying to highlight during the first reading, you will think everything's important, especially if it's new to you. Not the way to highlight. Wait your highlighting until the second read when you're a little more familiar with the very crucial information in the page. And this is just about right. I love the work of two colors here. Main points in yellow and then further details in purple. And here is a great example of the red annotations. A few things. A reminder on the right. This is a definition. A reminder on the left. This is an example. And then at the bottom, I still have a question about this area. Make sure that you find out the answer to that question, whether you see your instructor again or reread the chapter. And then an important point that you want to remember with the red asterisk. Perfect highlighting. You'll have to feel your way in the beginning, but try it and see if it works well for you in certain classes. The next way to take notes is to outline. Many people love to outline. Just the fact that you're writing the information down again does seem to help it stick in your brain. But again, the outlining can be done main headings as you're doing your first read, and then your second read you can fill in the points. Whatever works for you, just remember that you're covering, and you can test yourself that you're getting the information by making sure when you review from your outline, and that's all you will need if you are remembering all your information, do I remember enough? And then go back to your larger notes and check. Check if you have all of the information there in your brain. The last thing to try is mapping. Sometimes if you're a visual learning, mapping is a way an outline expands in all directions instead of just logically from top to bottom. These are connections already between ideas, and if you're making connections in your mind, mapping might be just the thing. And you can use mapping, depending on the size of your bubbles, for a total note-taking strategy. You make the bubbles bigger when you have more information in them, but remember, your notes should be very small. Your memory is the part that gets big. All right. If you have any trouble with remembering what we were talking about for some of these, or you don't understand enough of what you'd like to try, or you're simply having a hard time applying one style of note-taking to your textbook, bring yourself and the textbook on in to see us in the Writing, Reading, and Speech Assistance area at the Learning Commons of the College of DuPage, and we'll give you 45 minutes to further explain and further monitor how you're going through it. Thank you.